Welcome to Tap the Dial, a radio show about beer. My name is Justin Hall, just a regular guy who loves beer, taking you on this journey. Looking forward to today's program. We're going to take a visit to Stone Arch Brew House, Stone Arch Brewing in Appleton, Wisconsin. Steve Lonsway, he's the brewmaster there. We'll learn about the history of Stone Arch Brewing, some of their product, and what's in store for the future of the Wisconsin-based brewery. Also, we'll go in the fridge. We'll go into my fridge, give you a couple of ideas when you make that beer selection for whatever it is you're buying beer for, just sitting around listening to that game on the radio or that weekend gathering. I'll share a couple of ideas for you. We'll take some questions a little bit later on as well. Tap the Dial all over social media, at Tap the Dial on Twitter. You can find us facebook.com/Tap the Dial, Instagram, Tumblr, and Untapped. I'm telling you, not many people know about this app, but it's the social networking must for all beer lovers. That's Untapped. We're on there as well. Find out what we're drinking when we are drinking it. But as we will start off each and every week on the show, we're going to tell you what's new in brew. Take a look at a couple of stories from the world of beer. Today, we're going to start in the Washington Post. And I'm a sports guy by heart. That's my background. I'm a sports radio guy, but obviously dipping into the beer world here to share my passion with you. And the Washington Post recently released an article talking about the best beer in baseball and how baseball has expanded into the world of craft beer. The Seattle Mariners, they do it better than anybody else. The Cincinnati Reds right up there, Cleveland and Pittsburgh among the great beer selections at the ballparks. In fact, the article starts off by talking about the Cincinnati Reds. They use them as an example at the Great American Ballpark. From 2011 to 2012, sales went up by 20%, and then from 2012 to 2013, they were up 47%. The Reds Brewery District, that they have an 84-foot-long bar with more than 50 on tap, including more than 20 craft offerings. Absolute great place now to head out and dive into some of those great craft beers that they have. About 70% Safeco Field in Seattle, about 70% of Safeco Field's 700 beer handlers more devoted to good quality craft beer than just serving anybody. But there's your great places, some of the lower places on the list. Wrigley Field, of course, one of the oldest stadiums in Major League Baseball. Tampa Bay, really yet to dive into the beer market as well. It's a great interactive article, too. If you head over to the Washington Post, you can find out more about that. Secondly, what's new in brew? I found this interesting. The American Association of Wine Economists, that's right, we're talking about the wine economists, they dove into the category of beer and found out that a lot of people that buy light beer for brand, we're not talking about craft beer, but light beer for brand, can't even tell the difference in a blind taste test. That's interesting because everybody knows people, they only drink a certain kind of brew. Well, this kind of foils that. It just says you're buying based on the label and not buying on the taste. Now, that was comparing light beers with light beer. Obviously, if you were comparing, let's say, a Bud Light to a Sierra Nevada Optimum, you're definitely able to tell the difference there. So this is comparing light beers, but that one coming from Time Magazine this week. And lastly, this one out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and a story I'm excited about. I'm based out of northeast Wisconsin. I live in Appleton, Wisconsin. And coming up, Northeast Wisconsin Craft Beer Festival at Shopko Hall. Craft beer enthusiasts getting an opportunity to choose from more than 150 brews for taste testing. Should be a lot of fun. And here's an interesting part of this. Titletown Brewing Company, Hinterland Brewery, Stillmank Brewing, and Badger State Brewing are working together. They're going to produce a steam beer, and they're all going to put their own twist to it. So you have a few breweries collaborating, and then what they're going to do is they're going to go out there and make some tweaks and make it their own. But that should be a lot of fun coming up in October 2014. All right, Tap the Dial rolls on. When we return, we're going to visit the Stone Arch Brew House. Steve Lonsway, the brewmaster there. We'll go in the fridge a little bit later on, take some of your questions, and continue on our journey talking beer. It's Tap the Dial. return, Tap the Dial. Justin Hull with you, taking you on the journey of beer on the radio. Well, real excited to do this. Earlier in the week, I had an opportunity to visit a local brewery here, I mentioned before, from Appleton, Wisconsin, but this is our plan every week. We're going to dive into some of these great craft breweries that you see their product on the store shelves each and every time you head out to your liquor store. And we're talking about Stone Arch Beer. Steve Lonsway, the head brewmaster with the Stone Arch Brewhouse, had an opportunity to catch up with him and visit the folks at Stone Arch. And really excited to make the journey to Appleton, Wisconsin, on the banks of the Fox River. And we're talking Stone Arch today, and the brewmaster with Stone Arch, Steve Lonsway, taking the time to chat with us here. Steve, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us.
Thank you.
Let's go back to the roots. How did this whole thing get started here at the Stone Arch and your involvement with everything?
Okay, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. Back in the early 90s, I was a home brewer as a college student. Fell in love with the art, but I was typically into the more American-style beers at that time. I did do a semester abroad program in London, and that's where it all kind of clicked for me. I really enjoyed the English beer. I really enjoyed how important beer is to society in England. So over there, I came up with an idea to open up a homebrew store here in town, which we did in April of '93, and was doing that, running that store and homebrewing like crazy for a couple of years, and realized that I wanted to take it to the next level. We did look at buying the local brew pub, which we're in right now. At the time, it was called Adler Brau. It just didn't work out for us at that time, so I took another job with the other local brewery here in town. Was their brewmaster for just over 6 years, and then was able to work up enough funds to take this place over, which we did in 2004.
Going back to 2004, and I guess where we are today, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen, with the business, and not just the business too, but maybe even the customer that sits down and enjoys a glass?
Well, first we'll start with the customers. There's more of them now than there were in 2004 when we first took over. We've really done well in the last 10 years of building the business, but the big thing that I see with our guests is there's a lot more knowledge of craft beer. Back in the day where you had to explain what a Scottish ale is, well, now they already know what a barrel-aged Saison is. So there's definitely a lot of knowledge in the craft market in those 10 years' time.
Where do you think that interest came from, that knowledge of the consumer? Is it, going back to kind of how you got involved and maybe you're a little bit ahead of the times where now it's more in front of us, I guess?
I think there's a big movement for local products, and I think that's a big part of it. Plus, there's a lot of American-style beer drinkers out there, but there's enough craft beer heads, as I would call them, that might have shared some of their wares, or homebrewers, even to a American mass-produced beer drinker. Hey, try my latest batch, and they try it, and then it just takes time to grab a hold of your taste buds, and it won't let go. And I think that's a big part of it. I think it's just it's more prevalent, and there's a lot of push now for artisan breads and cheeses, and I think that just plays the same role with beers.
Well, let's go a little bit through your lineup here at Stone Arch. I know it's a pretty big lineup, but maybe take us through a highlight or two that you would like to tell our listeners.
Well, our Scottish Ale is the first one that I always like to bring up. It is our best seller. It's a nice amber style beer. We think amber beers are popular in the Wisconsin market. It's not too hoppy, not too malty, not too high alcohol. It's just an easy drinking amber colored beer. Super popular. Our next most popular is a vanilla stout, which is actually a recipe that we made up kind of just on the fly, and we ran it as a specialty beer back in 2004 when we first took over. And when it ran out, we didn't have plans of bringing it back until I started getting a whole bunch of calls and even a couple death threats that you need to bring this beer back. And it's really become a really, really popular beer for us, not only here, but outside in the retail market as well.
How about adding something to that lineup? Just kind of take us through, I guess, the brains of going behind it, the conversations, I guess, and, getting in there and trying to perfect something that you do release.
Well, we do. I've always kind of hung my hat on English-style beers, obviously, from my background. I get into, I like hoppy beers, so I really like to try to stay true to American hop varieties as well as English hop varieties. But we run the whole gamut. We go from a honey wheat ale all the way up to, like I said, our stout or vanilla stout. We have amber beers, we have hoppy beers, and then we run 7 full-time regular beers. We also run anywhere from 2 to 3 or sometimes even 4 specialty beers, which could be barrel-aged beers. It can be, high alcohol beers or just goofy ones with different ingredients. Like soon we'll be putting out a lemongrass rye, which is made with fresh lemongrass. So,
based out of Appleton, Wisconsin, as I mentioned before, where's your distribution go? How far-reaching, I guess, are you guys now?
We're in about 20 counties throughout Wisconsin, which sounds like we're kind of widespread. It's really focused more on like the Outagamie County, Winnebago County, Brown County. We have 3 distributors. One that really hones in on our local market. That's our very, very strongest market. And then our second distributor has, I think, 13 or 14 counties up in the northern region of Wisconsin, which isn't real craft-centric at this point. So we do have some splash handles up in that market. But again, we're focusing more really on right around Lake Winnebago and a little bit into the Door County region right now.
What goes into that decision to, maybe spread out a little bit further and to push the market a little bit?
Well, it's really what we can handle. We are a small brewery. We do only brew on a 7-barrel brew house, which is a little over 215, about 217 gallons per batch. So we can't get too far spread out with it. Again, we want to focus on our local market and just kind of permeate from our nucleus. And we find that is a good business route, following the leads from other breweries that have been successful in the country.
Well, if people come out here to the Stone Cellar, which is the brew pub you guys have here, Stone Arch Brew House as well. What are some of the highlights, some of the things you guys present here?
I think number one would be our very unique dining room and pub. We're in a building that was built in 1858, and it was originally built as a brewery. So the walls in our pub and our dining room are fieldstone that was harvested back in the 1850s. So that's number one. Number two, we have a really neat beer garden, weather permitting, and we do a lot of live music out there, again, weather permitting. And then the very unique and busy brewery that we have on the main level of the building that has the tap room, has our bottling hall, and all our brewing production facility.
So where do you see Stone Arch 5 years from now?
I'm trying to figure that out right now. As the craft market expands and as we expand our market, it's not going to be too much longer where we're going to outgrow these walls. And like I said, these stone walls that we just talked about are about 6 feet thick. So you don't just move them and expand. So if we are to take the next step, it would be in an off-premise brewery, which would just be the microbrewery. We would keep the brew pub. We'd keep the small brew system here for doing test batches and specialty beers and such. But in 5 years, I'd like to see us be in a production facility as well as what we currently have.
The word advice for the beer enthusiasts listening to this right now, what advice would you have for them? And, I'm going to take this into consideration. I explained it to you. I'm a budding beer enthusiast, hence doing this radio show. But what advice do you have for people like me?
Well, when I first started out, I read everything I could get my hands on. And at that time in the early 90s, there wasn't nearly as much as there is now. So it'd be a little bit more of a challenge now, but there's a lot of good information out there. The other thing is homebrewing. I shouldn't say you can't be successful as a brewmaster if you've not homebrewed, but it's sure going to help you along. So brew a lot and read a lot and try some along the way.
How can people find out more about Stone Arch and what you guys do here?
Well, we have 2 websites. We have stonecellarbrewpub.com, which is our main website for our restaurant and brewery pub. Then we have stonearchbrewhouse.com, which is more centered around our beer itself. But either one of those websites will get you to the other one anyway. So pick one and go with it.
And there is more of that conversation with Steve Lonsway of Stone Arch Brew House. You can find that on our website, tapthedial.com. We have it linked up on many of our social media pages as well. You can find us on Google+. We're on Tumblr at Tap the Dial, on Twitter, and Facebook.com/tapthedial. We'll step out, we'll come back, and we'll wrap up today's show. We'll go in the fridge, give you some suggestions for that next bottle that you crack open. Also take some questions as well as we continue on our journey into the world of beer. We call it Tap the Dial. Back one final time as we tap the dial, our journey into the world of beer on the radio. Justin Hull with you, and time to go in the fridge, where I like to give you a couple of suggestions for your next get-together, your next trip to the liquor store, and a couple of things to possibly try out, a couple of things that I've stumbled across that I've absolutely enjoyed. We're starting with Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, and to be honest with you, haven't really dove into the bourbon ales that much, and saw the 4-pack of the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale sitting right in front of me, and I'm like, I gotta try it, and I was not disappointed. Phenomenal. This was unbelievable. Sitting outside in the lawn chairs, waiting for that grill to heat up. The Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, if you like that hint of whiskey in there, absolutely try this one. A 2014 World Beer Championship silver medalist, 8.2 on the alcohol by volume list. So Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, that's number one. Number two, Optimum Imperial IPA. Quick story about this. I was at the liquor store a couple of months back and I turned the aisle, and there it was from Sierra Nevada, the Optimum. I've really been diving into the IPAs the last couple of years, more of my background in just a couple of minutes, but I looked at that and I'm like, wow, this looks absolutely great. Took it home, cracked one open, poured it into that glass, and was not disappointed. And that's kind of how that's the beer that was the brainchild behind this program. I'll get into that coming up a little bit more, but 10.4 in the alcohol by volume, 100 on the IBU ratings. Optimum, the Imperial IPA 2014 batch. Comes in the 4-pack, but definitely worth it. Lastly here, Lagunitas Little Something Extra. They call it the big sister of the Little Something Something. Lots of wheat in that one. 8.5 in the alcohol by volume. Sold in the 6-packs, and picked one of those up, trying something different. Limited release, available in July, so time is running out if you do see that, but very refreshing and definitely a choice I would like to recommend. As always, we will do this. We'll give you an opportunity to chime in with what's in your fridge. You can tweet us at Tap the Dial. You can do it that way. You can send us a message on Facebook too, facebook.com/Tap the Dial, or visit up on our website and find more ways to do that there. We'll wrap up the show with a couple of listener questions, and since this is our first show, I'm going to bring up a question myself. Who am I? Who is Justin Hull, and how did the show begin? Well, I'm a radio guy. I've been in the radio business for 10 years, doing sports the last 8 years predominantly, dabbled in the news side of things, dabbled into the FM DJs, playing the music, all those sorts of things. But over the last few years, I found myself, when I get home from work, cracking open a great craft beer, pouring it into the glass, and just enjoying things. And as I mentioned before, I was in the store a few weeks back and turned that corner, and there it was staring at me, the Optimum, and I'm like, I've never had this before. I got to try it. Well, took it home and tried it. I'm like, you know what? We need an avenue, a radio avenue, as a radio guy, to share different opportunities, share different stories about our experiences, and this is it. Dive into those local breweries. Let's find out more about the Stone Arch. Hey, let's take a visit to Sierra Nevada or Goose Island or Bell's, or these great breweries that are out there. And that's what we want to do. We want to share some stories, share what's going on in the beer world, give you some different things to try, and, of course, learn a few things along the way. Just an average guy, not pretending to be some beer know-it-all. I'm not trying to proclaim that whatsoever. Just want to create this opportunity for us to talk each and every week, and this is what we came up with. It's Tap the Dial. All right, that's today's show. Big thanks to Steve Lonsway from Stone Arch for joining us, the brewmaster there. As always, you can find us on Twitter at Tap the Dial. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tap the Dial. Go to our website too, tapthedial.com, and there you'll find a link to all our social medias, all our different social avenues, and Untapped. Make sure you get that app. In fact, we'll talk about that more next time. I'm Justin Hull. Thanks for hanging out with us today. This is Tap the Dial.